I am nearly 100% recovered from that loss that happened on Sunday afternoon. Brendan Albert is here. I am Adrian Fenke. We are revisiting this disgusting fourth quarter. Oh, my God, how could we?
You know, me and Adrian, we were talking about this before the show, and, like, when you blow a 17-point lead, like, there's a lot of fault to go around. Like, obviously the offense not moving the ball, defense being into predictable situations, but you also have to give some credit to the Panthers. I mean, look, coming back from 17 against defending Super Bowl champs at their place, this is a good team. I mean, I know I'm a glasses half full person in general in my life, so I'm a believer, hey, this is a good team. You're not losing to the San Francisco 49ers and the Cardinals and the Bills. You're losing against teams that are in the playoffs. That's the glasses half full. The glass is half empty. And me and Adrian, you were texting about that and said, this is a tie-break scenario down the line that you look at in December and you say, maybe this is a reason that, you know, you go from a 3 to a 4 seed type of situation in the playoffs.
Cam Newton was 18 for 22 in the fourth quarter for 202 yards. And out of those 22 passes, here's what Jim Schwartz dialed up. 11 off coverages, 6 on-off coverages, 4 press man, and 1 was a goal line defense. So as you can see, a lot of off, a lot of conservative play, a lot of cushion, and these Panthers receivers were taking advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely, Adrian. And the other thing that, you know, we know with Jim Schwartz is he's not a blitz-heavy guy. He likes to get after it with the front four.
Not a lot of blitzing going on in the fourth quarter.
Exactly, you know, and, you know, for all of the great athletic things Cam is, he's not super accurate. So I would want to find ways to move him off his spot because he's not the most accurate quarterback. So yeah, I'm okay with the different off, on, press, all the type of different options you can have there. But you got to get after the quarterback more, even if it means we're going to run a gamble here and maybe we give up a 40-yard touchdown. My thought is I'm going to end the game on my terms. I'm going to play my game. I'm going to be aggressive, and win or lose, it's my decision. I'm not going to say, hey, I'm going to play bend, don't break in the fourth quarter. I'm a big believer in go after it. You want to win the game, then go win the game. Don't let the other team lose the game.
Yeah, a 17-point lead in today's NFL can evaporate in a blink. And I think the way you should go at it is to maintain your aggressiveness until, like, I don't know, say there's 5 minutes left on the clock. You have to keep scoring. You have to keep picking up first downs. Even looking at the Monday night game. How was Atlanta closing out the game? They were throwing the ball to Julio Jones. That's how they were running out the clock. Eagles, I mean, a lot of people were talking, hey, they should have ran the ball. Out of the 9 plays that they had the lead in the fourth quarter, the clock only stopped once. They were calling short passes. Just the short passes were just not working. So those 6 short passes went for only 11 yards. But your running backs are only averaging 2.62 yards per carry. So you just weren't going to run the ball.
Yeah, I mean, look, I saw a really good stat that said in the fourth quarter last year when the Eagles had the lead, they ran the ball 60% of the time. This year, they're running the ball 40% of the time. Now, The only player difference there is LeGarrette Blount. And while a lot of people are going to say, well, it's because we have LeGarrette Blount, that might be true to an extent, but you also had LeGarrette Blount last year, and the Eagles still went out and brought Jay Ajayi in. So it's not like LeGarrette Blount was the single answer, and obviously the Ajayi injury does hurt, but you're right, Adrian. The run game is significantly worse this year than it was last year. I would still like to see them run the ball a little more than 40%, but I'm not going to simply say that, oh, if we ran the ball, you win the game. I don't think that's necessarily 100% true either.
The holes are there. The line is generating push, and the running backs right now just aren't having the vision to see these holes. And with LeGarrette Blount, man, I mean, last year I couldn't tell you how many times the Eagles would just go on a lengthy drive in the fourth quarter. The Panthers would have never possessed the ball 3 times last year. That's the difference between last year's team and this year's team right now. So, all right, without further ado, we're going to look at the plays. First play we're going to look at, so it's on Dexter McDougle, and we bring up Dexter McDougle because he was in charge of the slot cornerback position, filling in for an injured Sidney Jones. I was a little surprised because I thought Maddox was going to play the slot. And I thought Rasul Douglas was going to play that single high look. But it was Dexter McDougle, and he really didn't have a good game.
No, he didn't, Adrian. You know, he really didn't. But to be fair, in the fourth quarter, no one really had a good game. But what we're going to see here is we know by just personnel, if this was Devin Funchess up here, I'm probably not really worried about receiver screen, to be honest. A big receiver like him, I'm not worried about receiver screen. However, the rest of the Panthers receiving core, yeah, those guys all can be receiver screen guys. So what you're going to see here is you're going to see the defensive back here in the slot. He's going to read almost as if he thinks that this is going to be a block. And if you guys go back and you take a peek at it, look at the little hitch in his run, in our corner's run here. Right about now, you'll realize, oh, I got to pick up and get into another gear. Now, obviously, this is an incomplete pass. We talked about the fact that Cam is not the most accurate passer in the world.
That's pretty bad, Cam.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive to miss two receivers within 6 yards of each other. And that's really the only place the ball could be that was a miss. But as we look at the end zone view here, you're going to realize the only reason this was a miss is because Fletcher Cox gets right into the base of Cam Newton. He's not able to really get his feet set.
Deep penetration. Look at that. And then a complete pass. All right. So next one we're going to look at here, and I talked about a lot of cushion being played, a lot of cushion being given to the receivers of Carolina. So we're going to get into that here, and that's going to be a discussion right now. We kind of talked about it earlier, but let's bring it up here. How should you defend a lead with today's NFL? Because whatever the Eagles tried to do Sunday, it just didn't work.
This is tough, man. I mean, look, I'm playing the Panthers. I'm playing a good offensive team. I don't think they're, at a top 5, but this is still a very good built offense. So I'm going to be aggressive with them. I mean, this is something that you have to talk about coaching, it's just pre-snap alignment. Pre-snap alignment, defensive players, they align what they're told to align. It's not like these corners are just going to say, you know what, I'm going to line up 5 yards this time, and next time line up 6. No, it's based on what the coach tells them to do. So when you get this much alignment here, you have this much cushion, and I pretty much can tell here that I have a safety in the middle of the field. I'm going to be running a comeback on you all day long. I'm going to get on your toes. As soon as I get you to flip your hips, I'm running the comeback. And that's just pitch.
Look at that. Look at that. That's way too easy. This was their second drive that Carolina went on, that they just went right down the field. This is a joke. Look at this. Look at this. Are you serious? That's 8 yards.
And you know what? You can run this type of stuff if you are confident that your corners are elite at exploding out of their pedal. And you know what? Darby, yeah, I'm confident Darby can. I'm not 100% confident that I would use the word elite with Jalen Mills getting out of his burst here.
Yeah.
Because this is free money. Honestly, this is all this is.
Gosh.
And
my God, it's way too easy. Not
to mention, let's also be real. This ball's late. I mean, look, you're going to see the receiver at the top of his route. He's going to be waiting. Oh, there's the ball. And the ball's thrown.
God. He's not even working back to the ball. Yeah.
I mean, look, this is pitch and catch, and this is a underthrown football, a late throw football, not underthrown, excuse me. But this ball's got to be out here by Cam earlier, and it's still a completion because you're so far off, and it's just poor reaction time by Jalen Mills.
We talked in a show last week about Jim Schwartz's adjustments. We talked about press man coverage. We saw more of it in the last 2 weeks. And then Sunday in the fourth quarter just went away. They only played press 4 times.
And, again, here's my thing. You have to mix it up. You have to mix it up. Otherwise, you get predictable situations, and you can keep running the same type of stuff over and over again. Now, this play, Adrian, I am going to just put a blind assumption here and say that if I have a safety in the middle of the field, he's probably going to be the middle of the field player. I'm not going to have my corners be the middle of the third player. I'm not going to have my linebackers be the middle of the third player. So I am just pre-snap blindly assuming that the guy who's lining up close to the position that he needs to cover is going to be his job. And what I have a problem with here is this is just a bait throw. It's a bait throw here with a high-low read. So we're going to run Olsen, who, he's kind of Cam Newton's favorite target, run a little curl, and then I'm going to run a skinny post behind him. And all Cam's doing is reading this safety or reading a linebacker or anyone in the middle of the field who's going to take this away. Because you can't ask your corner to take away the middle of the field. Because if he were to do that, then Cam Newton throws the go on the outside. I have a hard time believing this play is not on Maddox, especially because, Adrian, we are not going to bracket our tight end only to leave the middle of the field wide open. This, again, is easy pitch and catch.
So you don't think that was the robber defense, Jim Schwartz? You just think that was a mistake?
I 100% do, Adrian. I have a hard time thinking that our robber defense is going to result in us leaving the middle of the field wide freaking open. Because, again, if in a situation like this, I am going to make you throw the ball short and rally to the football. I'm never going to let you throw the football over my head. So if it is a robber call, okay, there still should have been someone in the middle of the field then, if that was the case, Adrian.
We're seeing this happen way too often this year, and this goes back to, unfortunately, McLeod getting hurt. I mean, guys are getting behind these safeties. So that by the way, that was Jarius Wright's 28-yard reception. I remember watching that play. I'm just like, what the hell? So you had the play where I just showed you with the Jalen Mills and lots of cushion, and then you see that 28-yarder. It's like a couple plays later. That's when the frustration just start to build. And then Ronald Darby bites on a double move, which got the Panthers within 17-14, I believe, or was that the one that got them the lead?
This will get them into the 17-14.
Okay, so you're going to see it right here. So off coverage again, and he's just going to – this is easy money.
Jeez. Free money.
Jesus.
Free money. I mean, look, you have to understand, pre-snap, if you're an off coverage, you really have to be elite to play off coverage and be able to jump a slant route and pick it off. And, I mean, maybe Darby is, but – either way, this is not even a good route. I'm going to be honest with you. Devin Funchess is not known for an elite route runner.
No,
he's a possession guy, and this is not a great fake route. I mean, all he barely does is turn his left hip a little bit in, and then he's running the go. This honestly is just embarrassing here.
Ronald Darby has been the most frustrating Eagle this year because he shuts down Beckham. He shut down – well, he didn't shut down Jones, but he did a great job on Julio Jones. And then it's like, we'll see that.
The tough thing about him, Adrian, is he's going to get paid huge money in the next contract negotiation. And, you know, if you're paying a huge money for any player, consistency is really the most important thing. And that makes me worried about paying him. I think he is worth it because you so rarely are going to see corners hit the market. So you kind of have to overpay them so they don't hit the market, to be honest. But I get where you're coming from, Adrian. Consistency is, the last couple weeks anyway, has not been elite.
Yeah. All right, next play we're going to look at, the 4th and 10 to Torrey Smith. So a 4th and 15 earlier this season against Tennessee. Eagles could not get off the field. 4th and 10, they could not get off the field here. So 2 plays away from being 5-2. Instead, you let these 4th downs happen, and they are 3 and 4.
I have such problems with coaching on this play. To be completely transparent with you, it makes me just want to shake my head and hide it. It's 4th and 10. It's not 4th and 20. Okay? So I say that because this safety, unless this guy is Randy Moss, this guy is Jerry Rice, this guy is Terrell Owens, this guy is Tim Brown, this offensive line is the 5 greatest offensive linemen ever, and then I have Tom Brady back here. I have zero thought that this safety can be part of any game. He's just lining up so deep that you can't be part of anything when you're 5, 10, 15, 25 yards off the ball. And what annoys me even more here, Adrian, is he starts to pedal. He starts to pedal. So now we're 30 yards. We're 30 yards. We are 1/3 of the field roughly away from where the ball was snapped. There is nothing that Maddox can do here. Now, obviously, what we're going to see here is going to be a really frustrating and poor time to slip and fall, which, let's be fair, it happens, okay? You don't want to see it happen on 4th and 10, I get it. But then Maddox comes back from Jersey, because that's where he started to pedal from, and he still misses the tackle. This annoys the hell out of me, Adrian, because this is all pre-snap. This is all coaching. And then the pedal, I have zero understanding of why you think you need to pedal, because all you're doing is taking yourself further out of the play.
Yeah. I didn't even realize until I watched the All-22 that Jalen Mills fell down.
Yeah.
So Jalen Mills taking a lot of heat in Philadelphia again for that play, for the 4th and 10.
Yeah, I mean, look, slips and falls happen. I mean, to be honest, when you have full guys running full speed and things like that, it happens. I mean, you don't ever want to see it happen. Of course, I get it. But you were also naive to say, oh my gosh, how can you fall there? Well, humans fall, especially when they have, feet get tangled, etc. But my bigger issue here is Maddox is halfway to Atlantic City. And I just don't understand it, man, because that just annoys the hell out of me when you are setting your players up for such poor positions of success by telling him to be 25 yards off the ball pre-snap.
All right. So I meant to get into this earlier, but we'll get into it now. A little running back discussion, because it's looking like Le'Veon Bell's going to not get traded. And now it's like, oh boy, what do you do if you're the Eagles? So we kind of talked pre-show. We went through all the teams, and we came up with a couple names. So right now we got 3 guys written down. They're not sexy names.
Nope.
But and one guy you're probably going to look at, you'd be like, ew. So I got Amir Abdullah from Detroit. There's one guy. Chris Carson from Seattle. That's the one I'd probably want to trade for. And that's only if Seattle wants to move on, go to Rashad Penny because they took him in the first round. And then one that's definitely realistic is Doug Martin in Oakland, because they're just going complete fire seal. And you can get him for cheap. He's on a 1-year deal. You can get him for maybe a 5th or 6th round pick, like we're talking pre-show. So those are the 3 names I wrote down. What do you think the Eagles should do?
Man, this is tough, right? I mean, because when you look at the backs that the Eagles have, okay, so what is the biggest weakness that our running back has? I don't think any of the backs are really superior at one thing more than the other. Obviously, getting Darren Sproles back, that's going to help a little more in the passing situation, but I don't think it's necessarily a huge need. So to me, I need a guy who I know is going to have good ball security, and I can trust him to see the hole, hit the hole. And I think because of that, I kind of lean towards Doug Martin, especially Adrian, because I know I probably can get him for like a 6th round pick, right? I mean, I know the value of me trading for him is very, very low, and I'm cool with that because it's probably going to be a rental. And 6th round picks usually don't even make the practice squad. So I'm okay with that. I know you, Adrian, like Chris Carson, though, a little more.
That's going to cost a little bit more, though, because he's on a rookie contract.
Right. And then it becomes, are you okay with trading a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick for Chris Carson? I'm not, personally.
Yeah. A 4th, maybe. A 3rd, no. I wouldn't trade a 3rd. 3rd's kind of crazy. Maybe you get a 5th, but 4th is probably what it's going to be, I would think, right? Because he's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. And then obviously if you wanted the other running back in Seattle and you wanted Mike Davis, 4th, 5th is my guess. Jalen Richard, probably in a similar situation if you could somehow get the other back in Oakland.
Yeah,
and Amir Abdullah, I mean, yeah, exactly, Adrian. And Amir Abdullah, like, probably a 5th round pick because it's hard to imagine the Lions are ever going to want him, to bring him back anyway.
Yeah. Here's the thing about the running back situation. I just want a guy who has some vision, because Brian Westbrook broke it down wonderfully on Twitter yesterday. There was one play where Corey Clement just ran right into the line where he had the cutback and he had 20 free yards.
Yeah.
It's a wide open hole. That's what's missing right now. It's like I thought these backs would be good enough to see these huge holes, and they're not. They're just not seeing them. And it's incredible. So a guy like Doug Martin, is as unsexy as that sounds, I would think that he would have the vision to see the holes, right?
I would think so, Adrian, but to be honest with you, the biggest reason I would prefer him over any of the backs we just talked about is what he would go for.
The price, yeah.
Yeah, the price to me is what would make me do it. I mean, there's talks of Telvin Coleman, there's talks of LaShawn McCoy, there's talks of David Johnson. I mean, the price for all those guys just seem to be too high. LaShawn McCoy, the fact that he didn't play last week makes me really hard for me to trust him. And I would not want Telvin Coleman, and even though because I think he has the vision and the athletic ability, because he's on his contract year too. So then you bring him in and have Jay Ajayi, and then you're like, what are you going to do, pay both of them? No. Then you have to kind of decide, and you already traded for both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, they'd probably let both of them walk, to be honest. You know?
Yeah, I mean, then maybe you draft the guy. So because of that, that's why I think a Doug Martin or Jalen Richard, those guys make the most sense because I think the cost for them is the most appropriate.
Yeah. So I wrote 10 names down in all, and some of these aren't even realistic anymore. So David Johnson, Tevin Coleman, LaShawn McCoy, Amir Abdullah, LeGarrette Blount. That's not even going to happen. Spencer Ware is realistic.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, Doug Martin, Chris Carson, Devontae Booker, Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, if we use the word vision, then Derrick Henry is nowhere even near.
Henry, I don't even want Henry. Like, I just wrote that name down. Like, some of these guys I just wrote down just to write down. I mean, I don't want Devontae Booker or Derrick Henry or some of these stiffs. Spencer Ware, though, I don't think he'd be that bad. But, like, again, it's like that's not anything special either. If Spencer Ware's your number one guy.
Yeah, and I mean, what are you going to trade fourth, fifth for him? You know, I mean, I don't know. At that point, I'm okay with taking Doug Martin for a sixth or a seventh, honestly.
Now that we're like talking about it like this, what if they go after Doug Martin for like a sixth and then go after Emmanuel Sanders for like a fourth or a fifth, and then you try and win it with those guys?
See, I hear that, Adrian. I just don't think Emmanuel Sanders goes for anything less than a third, to be honest with you.
All right, so you think he's going to get something? They're going to get something for him. What's Sanders is like 30 now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not a young man by any means. Now, if you want to get Thomas though, and you could get Thomas for a fourth from Denver, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that as an option. But if I'm the Eagles, I'm not trading a first 3 pick for any of the guys that are rumored to be out there. Unless you decide, you know what, let's throw a second or multiple seconds for Pat P or even a 1 for Pat P. He's obviously worth it. But besides that, the guys who are rumored out there, Adrian, I'm not buying anything before a third-round pick for him.
Yeah. I'm going to look at Emmanuel Sanders' contract. I wasn't thinking third, though, so you could be right.
I say that because the value to what that offense is and how much of an incredible season he's having is so high. If I'm Denver, to be honest with you, I'm fire sailing. I'm going like Oakland and just selling everything, and I would trade him for a fourth. But for some reason, I just think Emmanuel Sanders won't go for anything less than a
third. Does that Cooper trade like bump up the value now because that's at the market?
Oh, yeah, especially when you know that in all reports where the Eagles offered a second, the reports that the Colts offered a second. So because of that, if I'm the Broncos, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I get it. Cooper obviously is significantly younger, and that's why you offered a 2 for him instead of, a 2 for, Demaryius Thomas, for example, or Emmanuel Sanders. I get that. But I also know that you're willing to deal picks. So now maybe if a team I'd normally ask for a 4, I know you're willing and you're in the market, I'm going to ask for a 3 from you.
Yeah. So here's Sanders' contract situation. So he'd be a $10.9 million cap hit for next season at 31 years old. That's his last year of his 3-year deal. So, yeah, maybe third. Yeah, I mean, I trust you, Brendan.
I think that's a fair one. I think the other potential thing that we haven't talked about is interior offensive line play. Good, not great. Is that fair to say for the Eagles this year, Adrian?
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you go to Oakland and you ask about Kelechi Osemele or Gabe Jackson?
Well, I don't think I'm looking at receivers and backs.
I hear you.
I'm not even looking at line right now.
I hear you.
But
I could also I hear everything you're saying here, Adrian, but I also could be persuaded personally that if you're saying the reason we're not running the ball effectively is because we're not as dominant in the offensive line as we were last year.
Well, I think the line's been dominant. I think they're getting the holes. It's just the backs aren't seeing them.
Okay. So, I would say this. I believe that Brooks and Kelechi Osemele or Gabe Jackson is significantly better guard combination than you currently have. That's the way I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
So to me,
I just think there's other areas that they should attack first before O-line. That's all.
I get that. I totally get that. But my thought is, if I have to offer a fourth for some of those running backs we talked about, I would rather offer a 4 for an offensive lineman in Gabe Jackson or Kelechi Osemele, personally.
Okay. All right. So there you go. There's Brendan's thoughts on the matter. One more play to look at.
Look at.
So Christian McCaffrey turns the corner on Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks made a boo-boo on this play.
Yeah, and we talked about running backs, and it's funny because if you guys go back, and for whatever reason, Adrian, it's like fresh in my mind, when we did the film review last year of the Panthers, one of my favorite clips that we pulled out was Nigel Bradham yelling at Malcolm, yelling at the defensive
I remember that play very vividly.
To be on different levels, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's look at what happens when we're not on different levels. Now, this is a subtle thing, but I love the fact that Cam did this. And this just is – you don't even have to be a Panthers fan or an Eagles fan. Just being a football fan, you have to appreciate something subtle here. Pre-snap, we see tight coverage at the bottom of the screen. So Cam moves his running back towards there. Why does he move there? Because he knows if this is press coverage or if it's any type of tight coverage, as a receiver, if I run straight into you, no referee is ever going to call offensive pass interference or a pick play. Never. It's never going to happen because I am saying, look, you were lined up in that 5-yard cushion. I ran right into you. That's your fault for how you lined up. So now, because of that, and then, of course, because Jordan Hicks takes some read steps, which is normal, and then he realizes, oh, no, I have to get out. Look, the pick is set. And all this receiver had to do was literally turn right. The pick is set, and now this is easy money, man. For CMC getting into space, it's easy money.
And then boom. Then they scored a couple plays later to take the lead. But, yeah, Christian McCaffrey, man, he's a beast.
Yeah, and again, this is all because what, Adrian? Because we're all on the same level.
Yep.
We're all on the same level here. Now it's just trash. I don't care if that's Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, whoever. No linebacker can get through that easily, man.
So there we go. That was the fourth quarter and the collapse of Jim Schwartz's defense. I'm kind of looking at it like you, man. I'm looking at the coaching situation and what was going on there in the fourth quarter. I'm pointing the finger at Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, I mean – I guess if you're positive, coaching is easier to fix than player personnel from week to week. You know, like it's easier for me to change my scheme and change my play calling. But honestly, Adrian, I'm not worried if I'm the Eagles fan. Yeah, I'm worried. I'm not getting the 1 seed. Okay, that's not happening. Yeah. You're not the 1 seed. But what I'm not worried about is let's talk about the teams we lost to. Okay, yeah, the Bucks. That's probably an ugly loss. Okay, I'll give you that. Okay, that's an ugly one. Tennessee, that's not a great one either. But the Vikings, that's a good team. Panthers, that's a good team. And as we know, Adrian, you haven't played the Redskins yet. You haven't played the Cowboys yet. So you can easily still win the division because you still have a lot of divisional games left.
Yeah, they will win the division. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that they're still going to win the NFC East. I'm picturing it right now, man. The 7-8 Philadelphia Eagles traveling down to Landover, Maryland, and take on the 8-7 Redskins in Week 17 for the division.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's like the cool thing about how this the schedules are now set is because the divisional games. Because of the last 5 games, you played the Redskins twice and the Cowboys once. I mean, right there, that's huge, right down the stretch.
So when Doug Peterson said we're 2 plays away from being 5-2, is that an accurate statement? Is that something he should be saying?
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I mean, look, you don't give up that ridiculous 4th down conversion in Tennessee. That game should have been a win right there. You know, and if Jalen Mills doesn't fall down on that 4th down play here, yeah, maybe you win those 2 games. I think that's a completely realistic statement here.
The reason why I bring that up, because you're the glasses half full guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a guy that's giving up on the season. There's a lot of Eagles fans out there, that they're like, oh, we're done. You're never done when you're in the NFC East. But I look at these situations and how they're losing. Well, at least they're building these leads. So the thing that you have to figure out is simply how to maintain the lead and to keep it and to close out these ball games. But they're getting off to 17-3 leads, 17-0 leads. Just close it down. It sounds easier than it is, I guess, but I'm looking at it maybe a little bit differently than other people. Like I still think they can go on a run. I still think like 10-6 is still realistic.
Yeah, I don't think you're off here, Adrian. I mean, because if we look at the remaining games on the schedule for the Birds, all right, we go to London and you have the Jacksonville Jaguars who are fighting themselves in the locker room. Okay. Yeah. Then we get Dallas. Then we get New Orleans. Okay. Those are 3 pretty tough games. I won't sugarcoat it.
New
I
Orleans,
still think
that's
the
an L.
Jags.
That's an L. I'll give them that already. So 5-5.
Yeah. And I don't think it's easy, to be honest with you, Adrian, to win in London and then come back and play the Cowboys. I don't think that's
They
a
do have
layup.
a bye week, though. So it's going to –
That's what I was going to say.
You got the London and then the bye week.
But then we look at the back half. Giants, that's got to be an easy win. Okay. Yep. Redskins, I'm not a buyer.
I'm not either. And 6 of their next 9 games are on the road.
Yeah, I've seen this story before. No confidence there. Okay, I'm good. I think worst case scenario, you split with Dallas. Worst case scenario, you split with Dallas. Dallas is not sweeping the Birds. I think by the time we get to those final weeks when the Rams are playing the Eagles,
they're not going.
I mean, I know it's not the last week of the season, but I could see the Rams dialing off a little bit, starting to rest some guys a little more.
I was making that point the other day.
Not unrealistic because, I mean, who's the 2 seed in the NFC, right? There's no one really threatening the Rams right now. And then you get the Texans, excuse me. I'm not worried about the Texans.
Yeah.
Like, the stretch, the final remaining schedule is very favorable.
It is. It's not that bad at all. So, Eagles fans, the ones that are ready to jump off the bridge, relax. Things are – like, I don't think it's as bad as it looks. It looks awful, and it's so heartbreaking with how they lost. But when you really peel back the layers of the onion, I mean, sure, it looks like they're 3-4, but I think in a way that they look a little better.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're honest with ourselves, Adrian, if the Eagles were in the South or they were in the North, yeah, we'd probably be hitting the panic button.
They'd be done.
Yeah, we'd be very worried. But you're in the East, I'm not worried about it. I'm really not. You're still going to make the playoffs. And, yeah, maybe you have to play one more game now. But I tell you what, you put the Eagles on the same field as the Rams, the Vikings, the Saints, the Panthers, I'm still very confident the Eagles can beat all of those teams. And in the playoffs, you just got to get in and survive and advance.
Yeah, I wouldn't be scared to play anybody in the playoffs on the road except the Saints. The Saints, I just think, are a horrible matchup for the Eagles. And the Rams are beatable, even though they're going to be 16-0.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really fearing any of the teams that we rattled off. I mean, yeah, I was a little higher on the Rams than you were.
Yeah.
And, okay, yeah, I fear them a little bit more, but I'm not bowing down to no one. If I'm the Eagles, I have the ring on my finger until you take it off us.
Exactly. All right. That was a good show today, Brendan. That was a good one.
Appreciate it, brother.
There it is. That's Brendan Albert. I'm Adrian Fedke. Good stuff as always. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Take care.